Curious about why objects fall the way they do? Why does a tiny pebble plummet to the ground just as quickly as a massive tree branch in a vacuum? The answer lies in the fascinating interplay between gravity and mass. Let's dive into this intriguing phenomenon. Drop a feather and a bowling ball at the same time in a vacuum. With no air resistance, they fall at the exact same rate. This surprising fact reveals a fundamental truth about gravity. Objects fall at the same speed in a vacuum because there's no air resistance. In a vacuum, there's no air to push back on falling objects. Without air resistance, all objects, regardless of their shape or weight, fall at the same speed. Imagine a world where people believed heavier objects fell faster than lighter ones. That was until the Italian scientist Galileo Galilei came along in the late 16th century. Galileo's experiments showed that in a vacuum, where there is no air resistance, objects fall at the same speed, regardless of their mass. This groundbreaking discovery paved the way for a new understanding of gravity and motion. A rock and a feather fall at the same rate in a vacuum because of gravitational force and the absence of air resistance. Gravitational force is the pull that Earth exerts on all objects. In a vacuum, there is no air resistance to slow down lighter objects. This means that all objects, regardless of their mass, fall at the same rate. The absence of air resistance allows gravity to act uniformly on all objects. This is why, in a vacuum, a feather and a rock fall at the same speed. On the airless lunar surface, astronaut David Scott dropped a feather and a hammer simultaneously during the Apollo 15 mission. Both objects fell at the same rate, hitting the lunar surface together. This experiment demonstrated that in a vacuum, where there is no air resistance, gravity affects all objects equally, causing them to fall at the same speed. In a vacuum, all objects fall at the same speed because, without air resistance, they experience the same gravitational acceleration. This acceleration is approximately 9.8 meters per second squared, meaning that for every second an object falls, its speed increases by 9.8 meters per second. This constant acceleration applies to all objects in a vacuum, regardless of their mass, shape, or composition. The universe awaits. Objects fall at the same speed in a vacuum because gravity acts equally on all masses. Without air resistance, a feather and a hammer will hit the ground at the same time. This principle was famously demonstrated on the moon by astronaut David Scott. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and never stop being curious about the world around us. Thanks for snacking with us today. Please like, share, and subscribe for more bite-sized science.